Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a creature that has absolutely captivated aquarium enthusiasts for generations, the seahorse. I mean, they look so incredibly mythical that it's super easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need some sort of, special magic to keep them alive. But today, we're trading that illusion for strict biological reality. We're going to break down the concrete, totally realistic care requirements that dictate whether a seahorse actually thrives or just fails in a captive environment.
You know, veteran marine specialists hit the nail on the head when they say successful seahorse keeping is less about special magic and entirely about getting the basics right. This instantly shatters that whole delicate mystery vibe. Their survival doesn't rely on luck, it relies entirely on your disciplined consistency. It's really all about setting up a stable environment and absolutely refusing to cut corners.
So, let's tackle Section 1, the special magic myth, and pit our expectations right against reality.
Just look at the stark contrast in what they need. It's literally like comparing a race car to a horse-drawn carriage. On one hand, your typical hardy marine fish thrives, even when water quality fluctuates a bit, and they love darting through strong currents. On the other hand, we have the seahorse. They're slow, highly methodical, and incredibly sensitive to environmental shifts. If you try to apply standard community tank logic to a seahorse, the odds of chronic stress and illness just skyrocket. They interact with their world in a completely different way.
Which brings us to Pillar 1, unwavering water stability. This is your non-negotiable foundation. To truly understand what seahorse-ready water looks like, we have to talk about laminar flow. This means calm, smooth, and highly controlled water circulation. It's the exact opposite of that chaotic, turbulent blast you'd use for a coral reef tack. Why is this absolutely mandatory? Well, seahorses simply aren't built to fight heavy currents. They're built to drift and anchor. If the water is turbulent, they literally cannot feed or rest comfortably.
And beyond the flow, there is the chemistry. You have got to be relentless about routinely testing your temperature, salinity, pH, and ammonia levels. We are talking about a fully cycled, mature setup where you are meticulously planning for evaporation top-offs. Because if you get wild swings in these parameters, boom, they're immune system tanks throwing the door wide open to disease. Consistency here is, without a doubt, your best defense. Moving right along to Pillar 2, the ambush predator diet, covering their feeding mechanics and routine.
Look, it's a very well-known fact in the hobby that most seahorse problems start with food. Most species out there rely on small, frequent meals of appropriately sized, live or freshly prepared prey. This means you have to establish a rock-solid, highly reliable source of food. And you've got to maintain this daily, unrelenting feeding schedule even on your absolute busiest days. It's not a nice-to-have, it's mandatory for their long-term health. To fully grasp why feeding them is so demanding, you have to understand how they actually eat. Seahorses are ambush feeders. They basically just wait in predictable areas for that gentle laminar flow we talked about earlier to deliver the prey right within their reach. They are not going to chase food down across the tank. It is 100% on you to ensure the tank's flow delivers their meals directly to their snout.
Next up is Pillar 3, tankmates and stress management. Let's look at their social and spatial needs.
Because seahorses are such slow ambush feeders, they simply cannot compete. If you house them with fast or aggressive fish, you can indirectly cause starvation. Those faster fish will snatch up all the food before the seahorse even has a chance to strike, even if the food is floating right in front of its face. Going with a species-only setup or carefully selecting incredibly mellow tank mates is an absolute game changer. It dramatically reduces stress and guarantees they actually get to eat.
Physically speaking, their space requires real purpose. Sure, they need ample swimming room for grazing and maintaining proper posture, but even more critically, they need adequate hitching points. Without enough structural anchors, they are forced to constantly swim and reposition, and that lack of rest, it leads straight to chronic stress. So your aquascaping isn't just there to look pretty, it is literal life support.
Let's bring all this together for the real-world preparation check and set some realistic expectations.
One of the most common failures is impatience. That is huge. The absolute worst thing you can do is rush this process. You just cannot add seahorses to an immature tank, and you definitely can't assume a standard marine setup will do the trick. The exact same sensitivity that makes them so incredibly unique also makes their problems notoriously difficult to reverse once things start going wrong. So instead of rushing, follow the playbook. First, research the specific species you want. Know their adult size, their exact temperature preferences, and how they behave when feeding. Second, meticulously plan out your tank.
your stocking choices, and those daily food logistics to match. And finally, commit. Commit to careful acclimation, ongoing observation, and super disciplined, unwavering maintenance.
So as we wrap this explainer up, I leave you with this big question. Do your expectations actually match their biological needs? Seahorses can be incredibly rewarding, totally fascinating additions to a saltwater system. But if you're secretly relying on a magic wand to keep them alive, you're already sunk. Are you truly prepared for the rigorous routine and the unwavering consistency they demand? Or do you just like the idea of owning a myth? Think really hard about that before you add a single drop of water to your tank.